I was listening to some other podcasts and videos over the last, couple weeks, and it seems the sentiment is comic books are too expensive, and I'm not paying $4.99 for a book. A lot of DC stuff is $2.99. Most of it's $3.99. The Venom Annual, that was one that came up. $4.99. There's a couple YouTubers that I watch. I listen to. I'm not gonna call them out by name because I'm just getting into this game. But it made me think about this, and there's some validity to what everyone's saying. So with that, I kind of wanted to look at. I did a spreadsheet here, and this is probably gonna show up terrible on this video. It looks like it anyway, but price of a comic book in 1961 was 10 cents. By all standards today, they're $3.99. So, there was a 20% spike from 61 to 62. And then you go all the way down to 1969, and it jumped another 25% to 15 cents. 1973, it was 20 cents. So it obviously moved a little slower earlier on. As you get into this, though, in 1975, you're talking 25 cents, a 25% jump, to 30 cents the next year, another 20% jump. It didn't stay there very long. 35 cents in 1978, and then 40 cents in 1979. So people were paying it, in 1980. 40 cents, 1981, 50 cents. So from 1970 to 1980, 166% increase in the price of a comic. And then, for the duration, 1961 till 1980, 300% increase. Crazy. 1984, 75 cents. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and I think this is about where I stopped reading comic books. Not really because of the price, but I was busy doing other things, getting my driver's license, things like that. But from 75 cents to $1.25, from 85 to 86, 87 was $1.50, 88 $1.75, so huge increases. $1.75 in 1990, that's 337% increase from the previous decade. It's ridiculous. So, I don't know what was going on in 1985 to 1990, but because I don't remember having that kind of disposable income. I really don't remember my parents having that kind of disposable income, or anyone else for that matter. But we were paying it for comic books. Lay it to us, So, I don't know. That really is kind of where we got in the crux that we're in now, I think, to a large degree. Then in 94, 93, it went to $1.95, and 94, $2, and 95, $2.50. So they were just like, hey, we're going to charge you more, and you're going to be okay with it. And, largely it looks like we were. So, we get up to $2.75 in 1998. 1999, $2.95. These are big increases. So from 1961 to 2000, a 2,850% increase in the price of a comic. That's crazy. That's crazy. And, $2.95, that stuck around for a while. And then we got to $2.99. And that was in 2004. So if you look at this, we complain about the price of comics, but this has kind of been the longest period where there's been some stability in the pricing of comic books. They were high. They got there. They've kind of sat there, though. No increase in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. Went up $1 in 2010. And then it went back down in 2011 because we said, nah, we're not ready to pay that. Now, was that a correction? Was it because we were coming out of the, housing debacle? That happened a few years earlier, though. If I recall, it was around 2008, 2009 where that really started hitting. But maybe people were just starting to see that recovery around then, and they just weren't ready to pay $3.99. But in 2012, we were ready. We'll pay $3.99. And, so essentially, it's debatable, but from 2010 to 2018, you've been paying $3.99 for a book. That's the longest period in history as far as stability goes in the market. It's not even debatable. You're probably looking at a price increase next year, maybe. Maybe they try to hit you with $4.99. Maybe they don't. If they did, it's a 25% increase. It sounds rough, but you've taken those along the way, historically, and more. So I don't know. Books used to be more than 32 pages. They didn't used to count the cover as pages, and give you like 28 readable pages. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. They used to make a lot more books. They used to sell a lot more books. So if they're selling 350,000 books and they can charge you $1.99 for it, great. But if they're only selling 150,000, their model's still the same. They have to make that money to make those books. And smaller print runs probably don't end up being nearly as efficient, obviously. So there's a lot of expense there, So I'm going to shut this computer because it's probably driving everybody nuts. So, in reality, I don't know that we're in a terrible place as far as what these books are costing us. $4.99, that's rough. $5.99, that would be a virtual impossibility for me. I wouldn't be buying books. I just can't see that kind of outlay. I already spent too much, and I just got back into the hobby recently. So to go to the comic store and drop $50, that sucks. It's you gotta pick and choose what you want to read. I got a little gung ho right out of the gate, and I got sticker shock. So it kind of told me, hey, you need to really understand what it is that you enjoy and what you want to read, and let some of this other stuff go. I wanted to speculate on every number one, that kind of thing. Most of these aren't going to be worth anything, folks. You hit one every once in a while. I hit this God Country. That was a nice book. That thing's popping right now, This New Mutants over here. No, I paid for that one. I paid a 9.2 price. I paid a little less than that, but not by a lot. But more often than not, you're not gonna be there with these things. It just doesn't work out like that. We'd all love it to be. We'd be millionaires if that was the case. But what really brought me to this is it was Venom Annual #1. Boop. And one of the comments from a YouTuber, I'll just say it. It's We Love Comics. I love his stuff. I watch it all the time. I agree with a lot of what he says. I don't always agree with everything, but you're never gonna. And I think that is what elicits good conversation. So he made a comment about this book being $4.99, and then I kind of chimed in the comments and said, if it advances the story, I think $4.99 is okay. He noted that it was a thin book. It is. There's two covers. Well, two covers that I got. There's probably more. This variant cover. Oh, you might pay $4.99 for that. I don't know what it's going for on eBay right now. It could be $10. I have no idea. Point is, I'd pay $4.99 for this book if it was an annual in the sense that it wasn't traditional. Traditional annuals, at least from my standpoint, were mostly just a bunch of scattered stories put into a book, filler. Let me give someone a shot. Let me do this. Let me do that. And, I was hoping, Donny Cates is writing on this. And then I saw there were stories from numerous artists. And all of a sudden, my expectations dithered, we'll say, because I knew what this book was going to be. It was going to be a traditional annual, and it's super thin. So I read it. It's a fun read. It's got a bunch of, little stories in it. But I would have rather it advance the Venom storyline. It doesn't do that. It talks about it a little bit. It makes fun of it, Chris at We Love Comics, you're right. This is not a $4.99 book. I don't think it's an outline price, though, still, based on history, where we're at and where we're going with these things. Would you like to see a little more meat on the bone there? Yeah, I think so. The art is okay. Some of it's hard, some of it's not good. I'm not sure who wrote what in here. There's a Wolverine story that's pretty funny. There's a Juggernaut story that's pretty funny. The art in the Juggernaut story, though, is it's gross. They're funny stories, though. It's a good read. Do I wish I didn't pay $4.99 for it times two? Maybe, but I've read way worse books. I've paid that for, and more. So, and just a side note to the pricing thing. There's a lot of different arguments that you can make for this. You could say there's less pages, whatever. It is what it is. But if you look at inflation, and I have inflation numbers of 2017 dollars, in 1960, a 10-cent book would have been 81 cents in 2017 dollars. So it sounds great then, 1990, $1.75 was $3.34 by 2017 standards, and you've been paying $4, right from since the 90s. 95 it was $4.04 on a 250. There's 2005 at $2.99. That was $3.81. That was a little bit of a dip, but 2000 you're essentially paying $4.25. In 2010 you were paying $4.47, and in 2015 $4.15. So $3.99 doesn't mean the same thing when you start talking about inflation. It's different, I don't know what it is. 2018, I couldn't find that number, but based on what I know of the economy, I can imagine we're probably not too far off that. We're still, $4.25 probably, and it's what you're willing to pay. If they put a $5.99 price tag on that, are you going to buy it? I'm not going to buy it at $5.99. I'm probably not going to buy it at $4.99 if that's a regular price. The DC stuff that's $2.99, I buy that all day long. I don't care. Make some concessions in your inks or your paper, I guess, if you have to, a little bit. From a collecting standpoint, I think it just makes it even better, because if you have a good copy, it's probably going to be worth more, because they're not going to hold up as well. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. It just was interesting, some of the stuff I saw on some of the YouTube channels, and it made me think about it a little bit. And then I picked this book up today, and sure enough, I was incorrect. It doesn't advance the story, which I sure thought it was going to, based on what Cates has been doing, but I'd be wrong, which happens often enough. So, kind of like to get your thoughts on it. What do you think? Is $4.99 out of the realm for what you're willing to pay?